Hello dear students, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to continue the next point of this topic, that's platelets. It's a third form element. It is associated as a thrombocytes. So let's see the characteristic features of the platelets. So you can see here there is a presence of the RBC cell, then there is a presence of the WBC cell, and this cell it says as the platelet cell. So you can understood very well. So the first one we see the phenomena, that's the characteristic features of this platelet cell. The platelet cell, it is round, biconvex, irregular and the smallest cell and are present in the form of the fragments. It is a non-nucleated cell, means RBCs it's a non-nucleated, WBCs it's nucleated, but this platelet cell it's again the non-nucleated, means absence of nucleus. The size of this platelet cell, it is 2.5 to 5 mm in diameter. The total count of the platelet cell, it's a 2.5 to 4.5 lakhs per mm3. The lifespan period of the RBC cell, I think all of you remember, it is a 120 days. We are already discussed about the RBCs and the WBC cell. अभी तक आपने मेरा लास्ट वीडियो नहीं देखा होगा तो जरूर देखिए ताकि आपको आगे के सारे पॉइंट्स अच्छी तरह से समझ में आएंगे. As the lifespan period of the RBC cell, it is a 120 days. The lifespan period of the WBC cell, it is a 3 to the 4 days. And the lifespan period of the platelet cell, it is 5 to 10 days. The process of formation of the platelet cell, that is the thrombocyte, it is known as the thrombopenia. Thrombopyosis. It says as thrombopyosis. This platelet cell, it is formed in the large mega karyocyte cell of a bone marrow. This is mostly asked for the MCQ. The next one is when the number of the platelet cell is increased, it is called as the thrombocytosis. It called as thrombocytosis. When the number of the WBC cell it is increased, called as the leukocytosis. Called as leukocytosis. When the number of the RBC cell it is increased, it called as the polycythemia. The next phenomena we see, that is when the number of the platelet cell decrease, it called as the thrombocytopenia. When the number of the RBC cell it is decreased, it is called as the arthrocytopenia. And when the number of the WBC cell it is increased, it is called as the leukopenia. Means the name is same, but only the starting name is different. So the next phenomena, when the number of the platelet cell it is decreased than that of the normal level, it causes the internal bleeding. It causes internal bleeding. It called as a hemorrhage. So let's see the functions is performed by this platelet cell. The platelet secretes the platelet factor, which is essential for the blood clotting. It helps to seal the ruptured blood vessel by formation of the platelet plug and thrombus at the site of injury. Means aggregate at the site of injury and forms a blood clot. Release the thromboplastin. This is a very important part. It releases the thromboplastin and secrete the serotonin. That is, it's a function as a vasoconstrictor. The next one we see how the blood it's a coagulate. The first one, it's a what is meant by the blood coagulation. This blood coagulation means the conversion of the liquid blood it into the semi-solid jelly-like part. That is, this conversion of liquid blood into semi-solid jelly or the solid form, it called as the clotting. In contact the blood vessel, blood does not coagulate because there is a presence of anticoagulant. This anticoagulant it says as a heparin, and the second one it's a antithrombin. Anti it says as opposite, and the thrombin which is responsible for the blood coagulation. But as there is a presence of the antithrombin, the blood it's never coagulate inside intact the blood vessels. But whenever the blood vessels is ruptured, what happen? There is the clotting process. It starts by the contact of the blood with any foreign substances, intrinsic processes, or with the damaged tissue. Eccentric processes. Intrinsic and the eccentric process, it involves the interaction of the various substances that is known as the clotting factors. These clotting factors, it is activated in a stepwise manner, that is a cascade mechanism way. All the 12 clotting factor, that is a clotting factor 1 to the 12, with the inactive 6 factor, the responsible for the clotting. Interaction of the clotting factor in a cascade means the stepwise manner leads to the formation of the enzyme thrombin. So, the next one is the role of the thromboplastin. Whenever the blood vessel is ruptured, the platelet and the injured tissue, it releases the thromboplastin. It releases thromboplastin, and this thromboplastin, it initiates the formation of the enzyme prothrombinase. So, as this prothrombinase, in the presence of the calcium ion, the prothrombinase converts it into the inactive plasma protein prothrombin. This plasma protein prothrombin, it is converted it into the active thrombin, as well as inactivates the activity of the heparin. Heparin means what? It is says as the anticoagulant. At is means it is inactivate. It stops the anticoagulant phenomena. It is inactivates the activity of the heparin. Heparin, it is function as it is prevents the coagulation of the blood. So this heparin activity is stop, means this due to the conversion of the inactive prothrombin it into the active thrombin. There is the heparin, it become inactivates. It become inactivates after the formation of the active thrombin. This active thrombin, it is converted into the soluble fibrinogen, and the soluble fibrinogen converts it into the insoluble fibrin. This insoluble fibrin, whenever it is formed, whenever it's a form, the fibrin forms a mesh in which the platelets and the blood cell are trapped to form a clot. So for all these coagulation, the time which is required, it is 2 to 8 minutes. So we see the flowchart of it, that is the eccentric pathway and the intrinsic pathway. Eccentric pathway means the damage to the tissue outside the vessels, and the intrinsic, it is damage to the blood vessels. Whenever there is a eccentric pathway is there, that is there is a release of the thromboplastin, and this thromboplastin, whenever it's formed, there is activation of the clotting factor. The clotting factors, whenever it is formed, there is activation of the mechanism. This takes place in the presence of the calcium ion, and it is converted. It converts it into the plasma inactive prothrombin. The plasma inactive prothrombin, it is converted into the active thrombin. This active thrombin, whenever it is formed, there is the inactivity of the as well as inactivates the activity of the heparin. Afterward, this active thrombin, it is converted it into the soluble fibrinogen. The soluble fibrinogen, it is converted into the insoluble fibrin, and the blood is clot. So you can see here the platelet cell, it activates the thromboplastin. Thromboplastin, it secretes the enzyme, that is the prothrombinase. In presence of calcium, the inactive prothrombin is formed. Inactive prothrombin forms the active thrombin. Active thrombin forms a fibrinogen, and there is a formation of the insoluble fibrin, and the blood is clot. So for this coagulation, there is requires 2 to 8 minutes. So the next one, we see the functions of the blood. The first and the most important function of the blood, it's a distribution of the digested and the absorbed food and the nutrient. That is, the blood helps in the distribution of the digested and the absorbed nutrient from alimentary canal to all parts of the body. Second one, it's a transport of the hormones and the enzyme. Blood helps in the transport of the hormones and the enzymes throughout the body. The transport of the respiratory gases means the blood play the very important role in the transport of the respiratory gases from lungs to cell or the from cells to again the lungs. The next fourth function, it is a collection and the transportation of the nitrogenous waste. That is, the blood collects the nitrogenous waste from liver and transport to the kidney for the excretion. Next one, it's a distribution of the heat and the thermoregulator. Means the blood distributes the heat and helps in maintaining the body temperature. The sixth one is prevent the dehydration by distributing the inadequate quantity of water. Means the blood distribute the inadequate quantity of water to all the cells and prevent the dehydration. The seventh function, it is the antibody production. The blood contains the WBCs, means a lymphocyte, which helps in the defense mechanism. The protection, neutrophils and the monocyte, it is act as a phagocytic cell, means it provides the protection from the pathogens. The regulations of the osmotic balance, that is a protein and the minerals, exerts the osmotic pressure and regulates the blood pressure. Homeostasis, the blood keep the internal environment constant of the body. And the next one is it prevents the loss of the blood, that is the platelets in the blood prevents the loss of blood by the formation of the blood clot. Hope so you understood it. Thanks for watching my video. Stay tuned to my channel. Thank you.